Howdy, Basic Math 7 peoples. Today we're finally finishing up lesson 9.3, part 3. So we're going to go over two different styles today. Both of them will have a division problem with it, okay? So the whole idea is figuring out how to set these suckers up and then thinking about what kind of answer they want us to get. So let's take a look. We only have 5 problems. The first 3 problems are done one way. The last 2 problems are done another way. So what we're going to do is we're going to do an example of the first 3 problems, and that would be 5, 6, and 16. Now, if you notice, they all have that same language. They have a number, then they say is, and then they have the percent number, and then they go of what number. Now, each of these all have that component of having the word is in it, the word of, and then a couple of numbers. And so we just have to figure out what they're asking for, what part, what number, right? Okay, so when we go to do these, we think about it in this kind of terminology. So let me find one of those examples up above. In the class exercises, number 7 does it like this. 60 is 75% of what number? So we break that down into a number sentence from the word sentence that we got. So we have 60. The word is means equals. Change our 75% into a decimal. I would do that immediately when we do these. Okay? That means I move my decimal to the left 2 places from wherever it is. And of means multiply, and then a number in. Okay. So now we're just moving back and we're saying 60 is 75% of a bigger number, okay? So if you think about it, my answer should be bigger than 60. Just a little bit bigger than 60 because 75% is a lot of some number, right? Okay, so let's figure out how do we do this. So the way I do it is I think about this number sentence. I go, how do I isolate n? It's all in that kind of math that we've done with integers, or yeah, a little bit. We divide by the number next to the letter and cancel that out. That becomes 1. So we have n will equal whatever 60 divided by 0.75 is. Now, here's the tricky part. Remember, the top number goes in the box, the bottom number goes outside. And since it's a decimal, we have to move the decimal 2 places to the right. That means if there's no decimal here, I put it in there and move 2 places to the right and add 2 zeros to my answer. Okay, the rest of it is just using some division here. So when I go to do that, I can say 75 goes into 600, maybe 9 times. It's pretty close. Let's go with 8. Let's start with 8 and see where that puts us. 5 times 8 is 40. 7 times 8 is 56. Plus 4 is 60. Oh my goodness, Mr. Lindblad got it perfect on the first go. Lucky me. So when I subtract, I get 0. Now, don't forget, if we haven't put a number underneath this, we still have to bring that 0 down. And we have to say 75 goes into 0 times. So my answer is 80. N equals 80. Like I said, a little bit larger than 60. Okay, that makes sense. Remember, I talked about having an intelligent answer, an answer that makes sense. Okay? So, let's do one of our problems today on our lesson that's like this. Switch out these numbers. So that was in the class exercises. Let's do a written exercise problem. Number 6. All right, we're going to do number 6. 56 is 4% of what number? Wow, that's a small percentage of a number. So I'm guessing that my answer is going to be really big. A lot larger than 56 because it's only 4% of the number that we borrowed it from. Okay, well, let's set it up. 56 equals Change my decimal to a percent by going 2 places, 0.04. Notice I had to hold a place there. Times n. Now I isolate n by dividing that 0.04. Okay? Each one of these first 3 problems are going to be exactly like this. You do the same step, every single one. Then, after we do that, 56 goes in the box, 0.04 goes outside, and we move the decimal twice. Once, twice. Put a decimal in, once, twice, add zeros. Okay, how many times is 4 going to 5? 1. Okay, subtract and I get 1. Bring down the 6. 4 goes into 16. 4 times. All right, okay. We got that finished, but we added 2 zeros. We have to bring this one down. 4 went into that 0 times. Bring the other one down. 4 goes into that 0 times. Like I said, our answer is going to be a big number because 56 was only 4% of that. So there we go. For number 6, that's a really big answer. Okay? Number 5 is just like that. Number 15. Am I saying that? Number 16 is just like that. Okay? Watch out. Because actually on number 16, this number will be larger than our answer because it's 150%. So now we got to think the other way. All right, let's do the other kind of problem. That problem involves having a number at the front of the sentence and a number at the end of the sentence. Okay, look at number 4 in our class exercises. This one has 120 is what percent of, and then it has the number at the end, 150. Okay, break it down. 120 is means equals, what percent is n percent, of is times, and then 150. So we wrote our number sentence. Once again, we want to get n all by itself. To do that, we actually have to divide by the other number that's next to it. 120 divided by 150. Okay. I would, if I could, think about it, I am actually going to reduce this down because I know that 10 goes into 20 and 50. So it's going to be 12 over 5. Okay. So then I take my 12, put it in the box, 15, not 5, but 15. I said 5, but it's 15. 15 outside. I notice right away, this one's going to have a decimal answer. Okay? So I add a decimal, add a 0, and then I say, how many times does 15 go into 120? Okay? A lot smaller than if you were doing 150 into 1200. That's why I reduced it down. You could have reduced it down even further if you wanted to, but this is good enough for me. I'm going to say it's almost 150. It's going to be close. It's going to be like 8 or 7. I'm going to go with 8. I'm going to take another lucky guess here. 5 times 8 is 40. 8 times 1 is 8 plus 4 is 12. And again, Mr. Lindblad's luck holds out. I got it on the first try. Sometimes you have to guess and you don't get it on the first try. That's okay. Retry it again with a different number. Okay? Just see how well you can get close to it. Okay? So, here's my answer. 8 or 0.8. Now, I have a problem. The problem is my answer asks for a percent. So now I have to take my answer as a decimal, change it back to a percent. I think a lot of the problems for the first part of this lesson were like that. So then you move your decimal to the right twice. In this case, I'm going to have to add a 0. And so the answer to this problem is 80%. And by golly, 120 is almost 150, so that makes a lot of sense. You know, if I had like 20% here, I go, that's not right. There's no way that's only 20% of 150. It's almost all the way to the number we want. Gotta think about it. Gotta think about it. Okay, so let's do one of the two problems that you have for this, right? Let's do the second one. Maybe that one will be a little tougher and it'll be easier for us to do. Let's look at number 14. Okay? Now, I know this isn't set up the same way, but it's exactly like that. Okay? And I'm surprised I didn't have you do this one before. Okay, so let's look at it anyway. This one doesn't do it this way, but it's the same kind of problem, even though it was written in the same fashion. Okay, so this one says, what percent of 40 is 86? Okay, so they just moved this part back to the end of the sentence. So we have that what percent. When we don't know the percent, that is n percent. We don't know. There's the word of, that makes the multiplication sign. 40 is means equals 86. All right. Isolate the percent by doing the opposite. We were multiplying here, so that means we've got to divide by 40 on both sides. That cancels. N percent will equal whatever 86 over 40 is. So 86 goes in the box, 40 goes on the outside. As we can see in this problem, 40 is actually going to divide into 86, but we will need some decimals and some zeros later on. Let's see how this plays out. 40 goes into 86. I'm going to say twice. 40 times 2 is 80. When I subtract, I get 6. Now that decimal and a 0 comes into play. All right. 40 goes into 60 once. When I subtract, I get 20. Ooh, it's half of my divider. Guess what my next number is going to be? That's right. It's going to be 5. Whenever our remainder is half of our divider, our next number that we should divide by or multiply by to get it is 5, because that means we're going to get it to terminate. It won't be a repeating decimal. Okay, once we finish it, we got 2.15. Are we done yet? You're right, we're not done yet, because we have to change it to a percent. When we change decimals to percent, we move it to the right, the decimal to the right, 2 places. So my answer becomes 215%. Okay? Told you it was going to be larger because it divided into that before the decimal, before we had to add zeros. Okay, there's the answer to number 14. Good luck on the other one. Should be able to get it based on what we did. We did practices, and then you got 2 others besides that. I did 2 out of the 5. You only got 3 problems to do today. Good luck on them. Get them done. Go after it. Hey, we'll try something new tomorrow. Okay? Talk to you later. Bye.